Over 2 millennia ago, a man named Plato sat down to write what would become one of the most influential works in Western philosophy, The Republic. In it, he explores profound questions about justice, the nature of society, and the ideal way to live. But what makes this text timeless is not just its ideas, it's how Plato presents them. The Republic is not a dry textbook of rules or theories. Instead, it unfolds as a dialogue, a lively, thought-provoking conversation led by Socrates, Plato's mentor. Through debates, questions, and counter-arguments, the characters gradually peel back the layers of complex ideas. The dialogue begins with a simple yet timeless question: what is justice? But as we'll discover, the Republic is about much more than justice. Plato uses the dialogue as a way to explore how societies function, what makes a good leader, and how individuals can achieve a fulfilling and virtuous life. In this series, we'll take a journey through Plato's masterpiece, breaking down its key sections and ideas. From the foundations of justice to the concept of the Philosopher-King, and from the famous Allegory of the Cave to Plato's vision of an ideal society, we'll uncover the wisdom that has inspired thinkers for centuries. The Republic begins in the home of Cephalus, an elderly, respected citizen. Socrates visits him and begins a conversation about the meaning of justice. Cephalus starts by suggesting that justice is about honesty and repaying one's debts. It seems simple and practical, but Socrates questions this definition. After all, is it always just to return what you owe, even if it could cause harm? Polemarchus, Cephalus' son, takes up the argument. He proposes that justice is about helping one's friends and harming one's enemies. Socrates challenges him, asking, how can we truly know who our friends and enemies are? What if we're mistaken? And more importantly, can justice ever involve causing harm? Then enters Thrasymachus, a bold and forceful character. He dismisses the earlier definitions and asserts that justice is simply the advantage of the stronger. In his view, those in power define what is just to suit their own interests. It's a provocative claim, one that paints justice as a tool of oppression rather than a noble ideal. Socrates, however, is not convinced. Through careful questioning, he begins to dismantle Thrasymachus' argument. If rulers sometimes make mistakes, doesn't that mean they might create laws that don't serve their own advantage? And if justice is merely about power, what happens to the well-being of the society as a whole? This lively debate sets the stage for the rest of the dialogue. Plato uses it to introduce a central tension. Is justice merely a social construct shaped by power and circumstance? Or is it something deeper, a fundamental principle that leads to harmony and virtue? Through these early exchanges, we see Plato's genius at work. By challenging and refining ideas, he invites us to think critically about justice, not as a fixed answer, but as a question that requires ongoing exploration. The next section of The Republic introduces a fascinating and provocative tale, the myth of Gyges. Glaucon, Socrates' young companion, raises this story to test the true nature of justice. He argues that people are not just because it is good, but because they fear punishment and desire rewards. The myth tells of a shepherd named Gyges who discovers a magical ring that grants him the power of invisibility. With this newfound ability, Gyges commits a series of unjust acts: seduction, murder, and the theft of a kingdom. Glaucon asks, if anyone could act unjustly without fear of consequences, wouldn't they do the same as Gyges? This story strikes at the heart of the debate. Is justice something we value for its own sake, or is it merely a social construct designed to maintain order? Glaucon pushes further, presenting two hypothetical lives, one of a perfectly just person who is falsely seen as unjust, and one of a perfectly unjust person who is celebrated as just. Which life is truly better? Socrates accepts Glaucon's challenge, but insists that justice must be understood not just as an individual trait, but as something that shapes entire communities. This shift in focus leads to the creation of a thought experiment, a theoretical city designed to reveal the essence of justice. Through the myth of Gyges, Plato forces us to confront difficult questions. Would we act justly if we could escape consequences? Is justice only about appearances, or does it have an intrinsic value? It's a moment that deepens the dialogue and prepares us for the broader exploration of justice in society. Socrates now embarks on a bold thought experiment, the construction of an ideal city, which he names Kallipolis. This city is not meant to be a blueprint for governance, but rather a metaphorical stage to uncover the essence of justice. He begins by addressing the foundation of any society, its basic needs. People require food, shelter, and clothing. To meet these needs, individuals must specialize in different roles. Farmers grow crops, builders construct homes, and artisans create goods. This principle of specialization, where everyone performs the task they are naturally suited for, becomes a cornerstone of the city's structure. As the city grows, it develops complexities, luxuries, commerce, and inevitably conflict. To defend the city and maintain order, a class of warriors, the guardians, is introduced. These guardians are selected based on their natural disposition toward courage and discipline. They undergo rigorous education to shape their character, balancing physical strength with intellectual and moral development. To prevent corruption and ensure unity, Socrates proposes that the guardians live communally, without private wealth or family ties. Their loyalty must be to the city as a whole, not to personal interests. At the heart of this vision lies a radical idea. The harmony of the city depends on a strict division of labor. Society is divided into three classes: the producers, farmers and artisans, the guardians, warriors, and the rulers, a small group of wise philosopher-kings who govern with reason and justice. Through Kallipolis, Plato paints a provocative picture of a city where justice emerges from each individual fulfilling their role. But the questions linger. Is such a society realistic, and does the sacrifice of personal freedom lead to collective happiness? These tensions set the stage for deeper philosophical exploration. Education, according to Plato, is not just a means to acquire knowledge, but a transformative journey, a process of shaping the soul to seek truth, justice, and the common good. In his ideal city, Kallipolis, education serves as the cornerstone for preparing leaders who embody these values. Philosophy, in particular, holds a special place in this process. Plato believed that true leaders must be philosophers, individuals capable of understanding deeper truths about justice, ethics, and the human condition. Through rigorous training in critical thinking and reflection, future leaders learn to prioritize the well-being of society over personal ambition. This idea resonates today as we grapple with the need for leaders who demonstrate intellectual depth and moral integrity. Plato also emphasized the importance of controlling what young minds are exposed to. He advocated for a form of censorship in education where only stories and art that promote virtues like courage, discipline, and fairness are allowed. Harmful or misleading influences, he argued, could corrupt the character of future leaders and citizens. While controversial, this idea invites reflection on modern debates about the role of media and education in shaping societal values and norms. Finally, Plato envisioned education as a meritocratic filter. Only those who excel in both intellect and character advance to positions of leadership. This rigorous system ensures that rulers are not chosen by wealth or birthright, but by their ability to govern wisely and selflessly. In today's world, this principle could serve as a powerful argument for reforming leadership selection processes to prioritize competence and ethical responsibility. Plato's vision for education as a foundation for leadership challenges us to rethink how we prepare those who hold power. It's a reminder that true leaders must not only possess knowledge, but also the wisdom to apply it for the greater good. In the next part, we will delve deeper into the concept of the Philosopher-King and explore the famous allegory of the cave, Plato's profound metaphor for enlightenment and leadership. In Plato's vision of the ideal city, Kallipolis, the Philosopher-King is the ultimate ruler, a leader whose wisdom and love of knowledge guide society toward justice and harmony. But why should philosophers rule? Plato argues that philosophers, through their pursuit of truth and understanding, are uniquely equipped to discern what is truly good for the community. Unlike ordinary rulers, they are not swayed by personal gain or public opinion. Their goal is the welfare of the whole city, rooted in reason and virtue. To illustrate the journey of a philosopher, Plato offers one of the most powerful metaphors in Western philosophy, the allegory of the cave. Imagine prisoners chained inside a dark cave, their reality limited to shadows cast on a wall. These shadows represent the illusions and half-truths of the everyday world. One prisoner is freed and ascends out of the cave, struggling to adjust to the blinding light of the sun. This journey symbolizes the philosopher's path to enlightenment, a painful but transformative process of discovering deeper truths about reality. The sun, in this metaphor, represents the ultimate truth and the form of the good. However, Plato's allegory doesn't end here. The philosopher, having seen the truth, must return to the cave to guide others out of darkness. This reflects the duty of the Philosopher-King, not to retreat into contemplation, but to use their knowledge to lead and uplift society. It's a call to leadership grounded in wisdom and service, not domination or self-interest. Plato's allegory challenges us to reflect on the nature of reality and the qualities we seek in our leaders. Who among us is willing to ascend from the shadows, confront the light, and return to serve others? In the next part, we will explore the concept of justice on a personal level, how Plato connects the harmony of the city to the harmony within the soul. In Plato's philosophy, justice in the city and justice in the individual are deeply interconnected. Just as the city achieves harmony through the proper functioning of its three classes, the soul achieves justice through the balance of its three parts: reason, spirit, and appetite. Reason is the rational part of the soul, seeking wisdom and truth. It mirrors the role of the rulers in the city, that guiding decisions with foresight and logic. Spirit is the passionate part, driving action and courage, much like the auxiliaries who defend and uphold the city's values. Lastly, appetite represents the base desires, hunger, thirst, and material needs, aligned with the producers in society, responsible for sustaining daily life. For Plato, justice in the soul arises when each part fulfills its role and operates in harmony. Reason leads with wisdom, spirit supports with determination, and appetite follows, restrained but not suppressed. This alignment ensures inner peace and allows the individual to live a virtuous life. Injustice, on the other hand, is the disharmony of the soul. It occurs when appetite or spirit overtakes reason, creating internal conflict and misguiding actions. Plato compares the just soul to a well-tuned instrument. Each part contributes to the melody of life, creating unity and balance. This idea is not just an abstract ideal, but a guide for personal growth. Plato challenges us to reflect on the state of our own soul. Are we allowing reason to lead, or are we consumed by unchecked desires or misdirected passions? Ultimately, Plato's vision of justice teaches that individual harmony is essential for creating a just and harmonious society. By aligning the parts of our soul, we not only fulfill our potential, but also contribute to the greater good. In the next part, we will explore Plato's analysis of the decline of political systems, tracing the cycle of political decay from aristocracy to tyranny, and examining the causes and consequences of corruption in each system. In The Republic, Plato presents a thought-provoking analysis of political decay, describing how ideal governance can gradually devolve into chaos. At the heart of his argument lies a cycle of decline, where imbalances in virtues and values lead societies through a predictable pattern of political transformations. The journey begins with aristocracy, the ideal state ruled by wisdom and reason. In this system, leaders prioritize justice and the common good, ensuring harmony within society. However, as the focus on virtue erodes, the pursuit of honor and power takes center stage, giving rise to timocracy. This new order values military prowess and ambition over wisdom, creating a society driven by pride and competitiveness. Over time, the desire for honor succumbs to the pursuit of wealth. Timocracy devolves into oligarchy, a system where the rich dominate governance and the poor are excluded from power. Inequality deepens, and the divide between the classes creates a fragile society, teetering on the edge of rebellion. When discontent reaches its peak, the masses rise up, demanding equality and freedom. This leads to democracy, a system where individual liberty becomes the highest ideal. At first, democracy promises inclusion and opportunity for all. But without guidance from reason or virtue, excessive freedom breeds chaos. Laws are disregarded, and the pursuit of self-interest takes precedence over the common good. Amidst this disorder, a figure emerges, the tyrant who exploits fear and promises order. The tyranny that follows is marked by oppression and cruelty, where the tyrant's desires dictate the fate of the people. In Plato's view, tyranny represents the ultimate collapse of justice, a society ruled by appetite rather than reason. Plato's analysis of political decay is deeply tied to his understanding of the human soul. Just as imbalance within the soul leads to personal disharmony, imbalance within a society's values leads to its downfall. Corruption at every stage of this cycle stems from the loss of justice and the dominance of self-interest over the common good. Through this vivid cycle, Plato warns us of the fragility of political systems and the dangers of straying from virtue and reason. His insights challenge us to reflect on our own societies and the leadership we choose to guide us. In the final part, we will explore the enduring relevance of the Republic to modern philosophy and society, asking what lessons Plato's masterpiece holds for us today. In the millennia since Plato penned The Republic, its insights continue to resonate deeply with the challenges of our modern world. Central to its enduring appeal is the concept of justice, not merely as a legal or societal ideal, but as a profound harmony within individuals and communities. In an age of globalization and complexity, Plato's vision reminds us of the delicate balance needed to ensure fairness, equity, and cohesion in our interconnected societies. Leadership, too, finds a timeless guide in Plato's Philosopher-King. Imagine leaders who prioritize wisdom, truth, and the collective good over personal gain or fleeting popularity. In today's turbulent political climates, this ideal serves as a powerful reminder of the virtues we should demand in those who govern. Ethical leadership, rooted in knowledge and virtue, is not a relic of the past. It's a pressing need for our future. Plato's Allegory of the Cave also takes on new relevance in our digital age. The shadows on the cave wall can be likened to the flood of misinformation, media bias, and echo chambers that shape modern perceptions. Just as the philosopher escapes the cave to seek the light of truth, so must we strive to cultivate critical thinking and intellectual growth in an era defined by technology and information. The cycle of political decay outlined in The Republic, from aristocracy to tyranny, also offers sobering parallels to the evolution of modern governance. Plato's warnings about the dangers of inequality, corruption, and populist demagoguery echo in the political shifts of our time. His work challenges us to reflect on the vulnerabilities of our systems and to strive for reforms that safeguard democracy and justice. Finally, The Republic inspires us to re-engage with philosophy itself. In a world grappling with immense challenges like climate change, economic disparity, and societal polarization, Plato reminds us of the power of ideas to guide us. Education, as he emphasized, is the foundation for creating not only knowledgeable individuals, but also compassionate and thoughtful citizens who can lead humanity toward a brighter future. Plato's The Republic is not just a philosophical treatise, it's a call to action. It urges us to seek truth, uphold justice, and envision leadership and governance as noble pursuits rooted in the common good. Its lessons are as relevant today as they were over 2 millennia ago, offering a guiding light as we navigate the complexities of the modern world. Let this reflection inspire us to think critically, lead ethically, and strive for the harmony that Plato so eloquently described, a harmony that begins within us and extends to the society we build together. This concludes our exploration of The Republic by Plato. Thank you for joining this journey through one of philosophy's most profound works.